explain this to a board member? Davina, is that a hand? Okay, cool.
The observation debrief cycle is a critical part of your development as a new teacher. It has two primary goals. The first is to increase student achievement by targeting those key teacher actions most directly impacting the student actions from the classroom positive or on the needs improvement spectrum. The second goal of Operation Debrief Cycle is to help you become efficient in your own ability through self-reflection to apply key concepts of the academic impact model to become proficient problem solver. So in other words, the goal is to give you scaffold support in being able to pull out those key teacher actions that are most directly impacting the student action.
Amazing, you can copyright that. Put it right in the handbook. Okay, so some things I heard in that are, you really clearly outlined for them in that explanation the academic impact model without just calling it that or saying that, by saying like, we're going to talk about your actions and how they impact kids positively and, I think you said, on a spectrum of improvement or something like that, negatively, short, okay, or not as positively. And then the second thing is talking about, our goal is for you to be able to do this reflection when I'm not there, which is going to be in about 20 days. And so I thought that was good. Can I get one other person? Yes, can you tell me your name?
Laura.
Laura,
I
thank
think
you.
mine's more like casual.
Okay. We're not judging you, we're just...
Great. Okay, the observation debrief cycle at Institute gives you the opportunity to receive one-on-one feedback from your CMA. But it's not an evaluation. It's a conversation where you try to figure out what strengths you have and what skills still need to be fine-tuned. No matter what stage you're in as a teacher, it's always important to get feedback from an outside source, and the observation debrief will be your first experience with that. Hopefully through our conversation, we'll be able to figure out what steps you can take to move your students the farthest this summer.
Good. So what I like about that one is it's really like, you and I are going to be doing this together, and we're going to be figuring out what needs to change. It just sets the tone really quickly for, you're going to be getting feedback, and I know you want it, so this is a great structure where you're going to be receiving it regularly from me. Okay, I think all of the messages need to be infused when you're explaining this to farmers, which you will be doing pretty early on. And what they need to know is exactly what both of these people just said, which is it's a tool to help you develop quickly in the next 5 weeks. And you're going to be, we're going to be looking at the actions that impact your class positively and negatively. Okay, that's how I would that works. Okay, so in a nutshell, there are two outcomes of the observation debrief cycle. So, and again, you touched on this pretty well. We do this so that we can increase student achievement, right? So we need to figure out what the teacher can start doing that maybe they're currently not doing, or they can maybe do a little bit better to increase the results that they're seeing in their classroom on a daily basis. So this is like just strict increase of student achievement. The second part is for core members to be able to begin doing this themselves. Because, like I said, their program director is only going to do it about 3 or 4 times in the year, and when you're gone, they need to be able to do this type of critical reflection on their own. So these are sort of like in a nutshell, kind of in one phrase what we need to see, but let's unpack we need to start thinking about, okay, if this is what we want to see, bottom line, what do we need to see core members doing and saying in the summer to know that we're meeting those outcomes? So, for example, we would know core members were on their way to increasing student achievement if they were following through on next steps. That'd be a measure of success if the conversation went well. Core members are taking notes, and they're going to go do those things. And then also something like if someone asks them, what are you doing in your classroom, they can tell you what those next steps are. So let's say your school director sits down with a core member and says, like, what did you and Laura talk about in your observation debrief cycle? And they can articulate, what I'm going to be doing starting tomorrow is blah, 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 because student actions, blah, 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 and student achievement, blah, blah, blah. They need to be able to make all those connections throughout the process. Okay? And I'm just kind of getting you started. Okay. What they would need to be doing in order to grow more effective. So this is sort of the steps that we need them to be taking in order to be able to do this on their own. We actually have that mapped out on TAL, right? These are the CIE rows, or the continuously increasing effective rows, where they need to be able to gauge the progress and the gaps. So what are the student achievement outcomes in my classroom that are happening positively and negatively? Talk about the student actions that are causing those, talk about the teacher actions that are causing those, talk about the underlying factors, etc. So you already have that outlined kind of in some specific tasks. What that would look like, I think, at your school, and how you would know that core members were on their way to doing those things, is they would start bringing graded things to the conversation. I think a key sign that people don't understand what this process is they don't even think to begin the conversation with data, right? If they say like, I'm ready to have the conversation, but I don't even know how my kids did today, they probably are missing a pretty fundamental step in how we talk about increasing our effectiveness as teachers. Another thing they might do is share ideas about what they did in a lesson that contributed to student actions. So the co-part. So when we get to that part of the conversation, we say like, let's talk about some teacher actions that maybe cause those student actions. They're generating it. It's not just the CMA providing all of those answers, but they're like, you know what? When I think about it, I never checked once for understanding throughout that whole lesson. And hopefully that's exactly what you were thinking. The homework can do that. We know they're on their way to being able to do this by themselves. Okay, so I kind of got you started, but in handout 2, what you need to do with your school team is outline like what do we want to see our core members doing at our school after these conversations so that we know both student achievement is increasing or likely to increase and that core members are on their way to being able to do these things by themselves. So literally, like what should we see and hear to get to those 2 outcomes? Setting a vision for what this will look like. So you have 7 minutes to do that with your students.